From SF Land, this is Dorking Out, a podcast for people who love to dork out about movies, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to episode 149 of Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and joining me for my podcasting sister from another mister and co-host of Dorking Out, live from Brooklyn. It's Margo D. And in this episode, we're dorking out about 1987's The Secret of My Success. Hello, Margo.
Hey there. Hello from the 80s.
Yes. This movie might as well have been called like that 80s movie. It is so 80s.
That 80s corporate movie, which,
yes.
which doesn't understand business at all.
So this movie was a request because you guys, we take requests. So if you want
yes, please
tweet us, Facebook us, email us, whatever, like a request for any movie, we will watch it. Clearly, we will do this for you because Angela via Twitter asked us to talk about The Secret of My Success. And we did it because we are good friends to our listeners.
She's a big supporter of my other shows, so I adore her. She's a sweetheart. So I was like, well, I don't remember liking it, but it's been so long that I was like, well, let's just check it out. 87, New York City, Michael J. Fox. How bad could it be?
Oh, that's so cute that you thought maybe it wouldn't be bad.
For a second there.
So this movie is directed by Herbert Ross, and Herbert Ross, for people who don't know, this guy did a lot of really great movies. He did one of your favorite movies. He did The Goodbye Girl.
That's my favorite romantic comedy.
Yeah. He directed Funny Girl. He did The Sunshine Boys. He did Play It Again, Sam with Woody Allen. But then, kind of in the 80s, it was like Footloose, which I super love Footloose, but...
Me too.
And then Protocol with Goldie Hawn and this movie. And
yes.
We all loved Michael J. Fox so much in the 80s that we all paid money to see shit like this.
He was such a big star. The show Family Ties, I've talked about it, something I'm dorking out about, but that whole show was supposed to be about these 60s parents raising 80s kids. So that the parents were supposed to be the stars.
Yes.
And then he played a character called Alex P. Keaton. And by the way, Michael J. Fox put the P in there, and they loved that touch. And he's right. Yeah. That was brilliant. But I loved that show, and I loved him so much that, September through May of watching on TV was not enough. I needed something, in the summer too.
Come on, everyone still loves Michael J. Fox. We all love him. He's a national treasure. He's always, always great. But even Michael J. Fox couldn't save this movie. It's a real dog. Actually, that's an insult to dogs. I'm sorry. This movie's a piece of shit. This movie is a piece of shit.
It's a piece of cow dung. I mean, who am I really supposed to root for him? And then do you believe, okay, do we talk about the plot a little bit?
Yeah, let's just go right. Let's just start right at the beginning and go through this movie.
So Michael J. Fox plays Michael J. Fox plays Brantley Foster, which is the worst sounding name ever. And he's from Kansas.
Sure he is.
And of course, do you believe for a second he's from Kansas?
No.
And it doesn't come across as genuine at all.
No. And any movie that starts with a line that says, well, Toto, it looks like we're not in Kansas anymore, and it's not The Wizard of Oz, fuck that movie. It's lazy. So this movie lost me in the first 2 minutes.
The first minute or so, I geeked out because I'm a New Yorker and I like seeing scenes of New York in different decades.
Of course.
And we have Cindy Crawford. We have a little flash of her because she's a hot model. And so they're talking about they have hot models in this. They want to show you it's New York and they have hot models. Oh, excuse me, the police are coming again here.
Here comes your ride, Margo.
Here comes my ride. So Brantley just graduates from college, and for some reason, he absolutely wants to work in business in New York. It's like it's something that's like that. It's crying in his soul, much like Robert Sean Leonard in the last movie we saw, where his character, Dead Poet Society, where he wanted to be an actor.
Yes,
like
instantly
this is the kind of passion.
Instantly wants to be an actor.
Right.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. Yeah. This guy just wants to be a businessman.
Yeah.
And he's willing to start at the bottom. And we know
he isn't. That's the problem.
That's the thing. Like we're supposed to think he's down to earth
Yeah.
because there's a scene where he has a pitchfork and he has no shirt on, and he's talking to his parents.
Oh, Michael
and
J.
he's
Fox
so
is so
short.
dreamy. So
And
dreamy.
he's so short though
Yeah.
that like the haystack is almost taller than
Yeah,
him.
it's so weird.
Who made that choice?
It's shot so weird. And that's one of my big problems with this movie is that I'm going to New York to get rich. That's his goal. That's his dream. Oh, do you have a business idea? No. I have a college degree and I'm going to lie and shit like that. And that's it. His goal is to be rich. It's not like he's worked in the mailroom for like a really long time and he just can't. It's not like Working Girl. So like a couple weeks ago, we did an episode on Working Girl and it's like the same kind of thing, right? Like she wants to move up in the business world, but because she's a woman and because of her background, she can't make that transition. So she's like, fuck it. I'm not playing by these rules anymore. And, you know, kind of pushes her way in. This guy works in the mailroom for 2 fucking minutes before he's like, I'll never make it this way. And like, you know, starts lying and cheating. And I'm like, how about you give it 5 minutes? The whole message of this movie is just like, if only a young white guy could catch a break in this city.
Well, so it starts with him. He's supposed to start a job. He shows up his first day and somebody tells him everybody was laid off.
Right.
So he scrambles. So he has this person that's not his uncle. It's his mother's sister's friend's boyfriend's son-in-law, whatever. But we're supposed to ostensibly think that that's his uncle. He's some rich guy who goes, well, I don't want those contacts. And so he starts going on these job interviews and people are saying, oh my God, you'd be perfect if you were a woman and a minority.
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, because we have it so much easier.
Yeah.
Right?
White guys can't catch a break, you guys.
A white kid
Poor
can't catch a break. And it's so insulting. And so he finally does look up this uncle and he just says, I'll work in the mailroom. I'll do whatever you want. And like you said, he's working in the mailroom and he's reading all the memos. And he could figure out in a couple of days what's everything wrong with this company.
Yeah.
How they're communicating, this guy's never worked at a big company. I mean, he just graduated from college.
Dude was shoveling hay 2 days ago.
Yes. He's literally a hayseed.
Yeah.
And he's all of a sudden, but he knows better. And he's reading all the memos and he's like describing to his other mailroom buddy. And that mailroom buddy is kind of like a meathead. And he's like, yeah, look, nobody will look at us. You don't say hello to them. They don't say hello to you.
Yeah, they're the suits. Don't consort with the suits.
And it's like, exactly. And it's like the class system. And he's like, well, I think that's wrong. I'm going to be friendly and nice and say good morning to everybody. And we're supposed to like him because when he does somebody gets fired. And I hated this shot. This man's crying.
Yeah.
As he's putting his stuff into the box, like he's moving out. But there's an empty office, which doesn't happen, by the way. As soon as an office is unoccupied, someone stakes it.
For sure they do. They put a fucking Post-it on the door with their name on it and they move right in. That's what they do. And this movie was... Anyway, go ahead.
I know, it's so infuriating on so many levels. So one of the jobs he has to do, like he notices this, but one of the jobs he has to do one day, they're like, you need to drive this woman home. And it's the boss's his uncle. He needs to drive his wife home to the country.
But he doesn't know. It's basically his aunt.
Yes. Right. So they're driving, and she's doing the rich bitch thing, you know, smoking and being condescending. Right. And then he makes a point about telling her how pretty she is. And I have to say this, Margret Whitton, excuse me, she's great. Yeah, she's a stupid part. She's amazing.
Is the best thing in this. There are 2 things that I was like, here's the 2 good things in this movie. Margret Whitton, best thing in this movie. She's in like a fun movie. I'm like, what movie is she in? I'd love to watch that movie. She's fun. Yeah. And then Mercedes Rule plays a waitress and she's in it for like a minute. And I was like, oh, I wish this movie was about Mercedes Rule's character.
And her character, at one point, they're going out to dinner and she just says, you know, I'm really an actress. And I'm like, I do know that. Can you do a movie right now, please?
Yeah, we would love to watch your movie. This is terrible.
Oh, my God.
This movie, so everyone in this movie is a terrible human being. I don't know who to root for. So Brantley is sleeping with a married woman who turns out to be his aunt. So funny. And then lies his way into a job after like 2 days of working in the mailroom because he's put in his time, you guys. He's put in his time. Right. He's worked 2 days. Come on. Why isn't he a millionaire now? And then Christy, played by Helen Slater, the like object of his affection, she's sleeping with a married boss and immediately proposes like laying off people to make the business more money. So she's terrible. Prescott is like the big boss guy because, of course, his name is Prescott. And he's gross. And his wife is chasing around Michael J. Fox in the mailroom, even though he's kind of sending the vibes that maybe he's not interested. She doesn't care. Like, everyone in this movie is stupid and terrible.
They're all like molesters, and they don't read cues. They don't read basic human cues of a person not being interested. I think like Prescott is sleeping with Christy. Christy, by the way, I mean, it's a Helen Slater in terrible clothes, like a pretty lady. And they put her in terrible clothes, terrible haircut. And so they do the thing where she's drinking water from a fountain. Right. And then somebody is lasciviously, it's like, is checking her out. Yeah. It's Michael J. Fox. And it's just like that objectification thing. Like it's the male gaze.
They think it's like this, like it's going to be this like totally iconic scene or something. Like we're all going to start fantasizing about Helen Slater drinking out of a water fountain. They show it like a few times throughout the movie. This is like when he fell in love with her, is her drinking out of the water fountain. Like it's
he doesn't know her name.
Yeah, like it's Marilyn Monroe standing on a grate, you know, like they think this is their like sexy moment or something. I don't know what they think. But that scene actually goes on like forever. Where like he's like staring at her while she's drinking water because he's a fucking creep. And then it turns into like a fantasy sequence or something where he's imagining her in like a beautiful pink strapless gown, and it goes on. And there's people like all around him, and then like it finally the fantasy ends and it cuts to just him like at the water fountain and everyone's gone. And I was like, dude stood at that fountain for like hours lost in his stupid fantasy, and everyone's gone home and he's still there like, oh, she's so pretty.
He doesn't know her name.
No.
He doesn't know what she's like, what she likes, what she doesn't like. He doesn't know where she's from. Yes. He doesn't know what she does for a living. He doesn't know whether or not she has a boyfriend. He doesn't know whether or not she's gay or straight. But immediately he thinks she's really pretty and wants to be around her. So we're supposed to like root for that.
Yeah. And so she's also apparently the only woman executive in this company. And literally like every dude in that company is trying to fuck her. And I'm like, this poor woman. She's just trying to work. And like every dude is like a fucking creep, like hanging around her office or trying to touch her, sit by her. And, you know, she's sleeping with her boss. And like, come on, Christy.
They're all like eye effing her. Yes. So of course, maybe that's why she's wearing these really ill-fitting clothes, because she doesn't want to put up with that crap. It's like with a lot of women have to put up with, you know, guys making passes, and then you have to like handle it a particular way.
Yes.
And if you just shut them down right away, you're a bitch. But if you say, oh, you just try to play along just to be nice, you're a tease. And it's all that dumb crap. And by the way, none of this is mentioned in the movie. Nobody gives her any break at all. Like they're just like, well, she's a woman. It must be hard for women, but we're going to make her bitchy and dumb.
Yeah. And the movie's filled with like this total, it's just so fucking 80s. It's so like, we have to take over the business. We need to land this big business deal. And it's like, our stocks are down, hostile takeovers, corporate raid, blah, blah, blah. Like all this like stupid 80s shit that doesn't mean anything. Like, it's just, there's so many of the movies in the 80s are like this. They're all about like landing the big deal or, you know, preventing takeovers. And who can't relate? I can relate to that. That happens to me all the time.
Well, it's so funny because her reaction is, we're losing money or we're in trouble, so we need to lay off people and lay off all these buildings in the Midwest, you know. And then his whole thing is, no, we need to build more.
Yeah.
So they're coming at it from like two different angles, and it's like, why am I listening to Michael J. Fox? He has no experience. He just doesn't want to see people get laid off, which is noble.
Yeah.
But what's his plan? And then he asks for weird things in his office, like the drafting table,
pencils and drafting table, and sure. And so here's one of the other things that's happening constantly in this movie is, so he's still working in the mailroom and he's pretending to be this executive, and he is constantly like changing clothes between the two.
In the elevator.
Yeah, in the elevator. because he can't just go into the bathroom, I guess, and change clothes. He has to do it in the elevator because what? Of course you have to do it in the elevator. You wouldn't do it in the bathroom. That's where a normal person would do it. So you have to do it in the elevator. And
everything's in that suitcase?
Yeah, and it happens like 4 or 5 times. There's, somebody walked in on him mid-changing. Isn't that hilarious? It like happens over and over. It wasn't even funny the first time. And they do it like 4 more times. It happens repeatedly throughout this movie. And first of all, it just doesn't make sense. I'm like, just wear a suit to the mailroom. Who cares? Who cares?
Right.
It's just really weird. It's poor choice.
Well, it's the physical comedy that they like about Michael J. Fox, who does it very well.
Yes.
And he has MS, right? Or he has, and that's part of the reason, like when you first heard he had it, you're like, oh my God. Because he's known for his physical comedy. He's one of those people, like, he can trip and make it look really funny.
Yes.
And he is like the whole scene at the very first of the movie, he's calling his parents from a payphone.
Right.
And then there's this shootout, and they're shooting into the phone booth, and he kind of dodges the bullets and stuff like that. I'm like, what? He's not scared or anything?
Right.
He doesn't leave? But there's several times, or Margret Whitton, when one point she comes to the office. How does she plan to get away with this? But she's in her husband's office, and Michael J. Fox character shows up, and she immediately like starts molesting him on the couch.
Yes.
Taking his clothes off, and then the husband walks in. I'm like, how much time did she expect to have?
Right.
To have sex with him?
You're not supposed to think about that stuff.
I know. I can't help it.
It's and that scene is like almost the funniest thing in the movie. And by almost, I'm like, I almost laughed because he's just like running away from her basically, and she's chasing him around the couch, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to tell your mom. I'm going to give you a spanking," like really leaning into the "I'm your aunt" thing, which is creepy, and it almost made me laugh, almost.
It's good physical comedy, and she does it. They're both doing it very well. Like, I'd like to see their movie, like but they're like together 2 seconds and then they're separated again. Yeah. And then he goes to the house of his boss for the weekend, and because the boss wants all of his employees there. And that weekend, so Christy falls. By the way, he changes his name to Carlton Whitfield, and that's the name on the office door. Yes. Oh my God.
The names.
And so. In the names. So Christy falls in love with Carlton because, of course.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a second. Like, he's pursuing her throughout the office, like, constantly, like, hitting on her, being a creep, and she's like, not interested. I'm booked, blah, blah, blah. And then the boss tells her, like, get close to him, because of course he does, right? Be a spy, like, steal his notes, blah, blah, blah. So she's talking to him and, like, arguing with him, and they're doing it for hours. And then there's this scene where, like, she almost faints or something in his office. And she's like,
oh, my God.
Oh, my blood sugar's dropping. We should get dinner and just keep this going. I'm like, can they just go to dinner? Do we have to make it, like, some sort of medical necessity that she has to eat? Like, let's just take this over dinner. Come on, let's go. I'm hungry. Like, why does it have to be like, I'm a dainty flower? And, like, she, almost faints on the couch. It's just a weird thing, right? It was weird.
It's a weird choice. Yeah. Yeah. They make her very weak. And then you're like, well, how did she get this job? And the only thing you could think of is like, well, she graduated from Harvard and maybe she knew somebody. But she's vastly, like, not prepared for the job she's supposed to do. And then so they're all at the house and at the Prescott house, and it's at the country house. And then in the middle of the night, people are going in and out of each other's rooms because Christy and Carlton / Brantley want to get together. And it's like, why don't they just get together? Why does it have to mean? But the Aunt Vera, like, shows up, and she's sneaking around, and there's another guy from the office sneaking around, and then Howard Prescott sneaking around, and they're all in bed at some point. And that was actually kind of funny. She says, okay, the sexual revolution is over. That was kind of funny.
Bed. Why would Brantley even agree to this? How does he expect to remotely pull this off? Because Carlton Whitfield, or whatever his stupid name is, his fake name, is supposed to be at this house. And then, of course, he's invited as well by the aunt. So he is going to have to walk around their house and their yard and this whole weekend and try to pull off being two different people. And of course it
Yeah.
doesn't work. And how would it work? It would never work. Dude, call in sick. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to keep your job, which.
And do he and Helen Slater have sex in the bushes?
Yeah, I assume that was true.
Oh my God! Like for 2 minutes? I don't know.
Well, it was really he's a really hard worker, so it's
Oh.
really fast. it's yeah.
Oh, I don't know what to tell you.
They keep and the music too is super 80s, right? So we have every time Helen Slater shows up, there's like a weird like guitar lick, sax solo, super 80s like music. Then they use like Katrina and the Waves, Walking on Sunshine, and then they use Oh Yeah by Yellow. Like twice in this movie. Why? They couldn't pick a different song for the second. Why is it the same song?
Well, which came first? Ferris Bueller's Day Off or this movie? I want to think Ferris Bueller's Day
Ferris
Off.
Bueller came first.
Yeah, and I think they just like that was successful when they used it. So if we use it, we'll be successful too, because people will remember, oh, I heard this in this other movie and I really liked.
Yeah.
Maybe?
This movie was crazy successful. It was like the 7th highest grossing movie that year.
That's the trivia thing I keep seeing too, because
I'm like,
nobody cares about this movie anymore.
It's a huge piece of shit. This is a garbage movie.
Yeah. Michael J. Fox gets
just
mad at her.
Yeah, gets mad at her for sleeping with the boss. And it's like, dude, you're sleeping with the boss's wife.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, just shut up.
That's like one of the only real moments in the movie where she like lets him have it for judging her. Like, you don't know anything about me or my situation. You're sleeping with the boss's wife. Who are you to talk? It's like,
right.
And that's like, 1 minute in this like 1 hour, 50-minute garbage train.
1 hour, 50 minutes. If they could have trimmed 20 minutes off this thing easily, and I think we would remember it much more fondly. I think part of the problem is it's just too goddamn long.
Yeah. And then we get like, Fred Gwynn at the end. I was like, gosh, I wish we'd had more Fred Gwynn.
Yeah, I could use more Fred Gwynn. Mercedes Rule and Fred Gwynn. Can we have them?
Yeah.
Even bring in Cindy Crawford. That would have been more interesting. I was so sick of these people.
Yeah, where he's the owner of the other business who's maybe going to take them over or something. And, and of course there's like a big boardroom scene where it's like, you're not the chairman, she's the chairman because I bought 51.1% of the stock and blah, you're fired. And it's just all stupid. And Fred Gwynn is sitting there and I just kept waiting for him to say, sometimes dead is better. Like, it's so stupid.
Or what is a ute? My cousin Vinny. He's great in My Cousin Vinny. It's such random casting.
Yeah, it's just such a stupid movie. And then I guess it's a happy ending because they're all rich at the end.
So she gives jobs to him and her, and then I guess they bring the other mailroom guy that's his buddy and his secretary, who's the dumbest secretary ever, like who or has the easiest job ever because her boss is never around.
This is such a good job. You were always doing fun things and taking your pants off.
Oh, for God's sakes, that line. I know.
I'm fascinated that this was a movie that played in theaters and that people paid money to see. And maybe it's someone's favorite. Maybe
someone has to like it.
Someone must like it. People must have fond memories of it. I don't. I saw it in the theater. I remember being pretty indifferent because he had made Back to the Future in 85 and Teen Wolf had also come out in 85. And I loved both of those
Teen
movies.
Wolf. Yep.
I love Teen Wolf. I think it's super great. And of course I love Back to the Future. I'm not,
of course,
I'm not a monster. Of course I love Back to the Future. And then I don't think he did anything for 86. And then 87 was like Michael J. Fox is growing up, right? He's not playing teenagers anymore. So it was Light of Day, the one with Joan Jett.
With Joan Jett.
Which I haven't seen since I saw it. I think I rented it. I don't even think I saw it in the theater. So I saw this one first.
Yeah.
And this was like the first like grown-up Michael J. Fox movie. And I remember being pretty indifferent. Did you see it in the theater?
No, I know I didn't see this one in the theater. I remember, do you remember the Night Ranger theme song? They had a
Yeah.
video for it,
Oh, yes.
and it had scenes from the movie. I'm like, that looks really dumb. Like, I don't know if I want to spend my money or my time on that. And I had no taste in 1987.
You're like, I saw St. Elmo's Fire.
Yeah, exactly. I had my part-time income coming in. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'll wait till it comes out on video. But what was the other one he did with Brian De Palma, was it? There was the Vietnam War movie.
Oh, that was Casualties of War.
Oh, that was a mind fuck, that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then he was like kind of on his like serious kick, right? So 88 was Bright Lights, Big City.
Oh, yeah.
And then he did Casualties of War, and he did the 2 sequels to Back to the Future. He did Doc Hollywood. I love Doc Hollywood.
That's a cute movie.
I would have to revisit, but I remember really liking
That's
Doc
charming.
Hollywood.
I think it's genuinely a charming movie.
Yeah. And then it's just kind of downhill from there, right? So it's like The Hard Way, Life with Mikey, For Love or Money. I don't even know what that one was called.
What's the one about the president with Michael Douglas as the president?
Oh, The American President. Yeah.
He's
I like
good in
that one. Yeah.
I love that movie. Yeah, he's good in that.
And The Frighteners. He's in The Frighteners. I like The Frighteners.
Frighteners is good. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it was just like his first adult role.
Yeah.
And I guess Alex P. Keaton was like college age at that time.
Right.
So it made sense to him. They filmed it the summer of 86. And it's a nice little, they have a lot of shots of New York that always makes me happy. A lot of New York buildings, stuff that's there. Some things I recognize, some things that are gone, but yeah.
It's funny how you can watch these movies that are kind of crappy, but if they're filmed in your town, you can So a friend and I have been on a kick lately where we're watching like cheesy, like 80s movies that were filmed in San Francisco just so we could see old San Francisco. So we watched
like Burglar.
What?
Burglar?
With
Whoopi Goldberg?
I'll put Burglar on the list. We haven't watched Burglar. So we watched like The Presidio with Mark Harmon. And
that was my mom's favorite movie.
Oh gosh.
She owned that.
It was so funny.
Oh my God.
And then we watched Pacific Heights with Melanie Griffith and Matthew Modine and Michael Keaton. And so we've been watching these like pretty ridiculous movies just so we could see like older San Francisco. So
Mrs. Doubtfire is great for that too.
We need to do that one too. That's on our list.
Yep.
Yeah, this movie. I'm like, what else? I'm going through my notes.
I'm going through my notes. I have David
Angela,
Foster.
why do you hate us? Why did you recommend this movie?
Angela's a great girl. I think maybe she like wanted us to make fun of it. I hope so.
I hope that's what she wanted because that's what she got. I mean, really, only Margret Whitton escapes.
Mercedes Rule.
And Mercedes Rule. Like everyone else, like it's not like Michael J. Fox isn't trying. He's really trying. In fact, you could see that he's really trying. He's practically sweating trying to save this movie, and it is just so stupid. And I'm fascinated that like a year later Working Girl comes out and it's kind of the same premise but so much better.
Yeah, it's smarter. There's a couple of times too, like this is so shallow, but like Michael J. Fox, the one point I noticed at the bottom of his shoes, he puts his shoes up and they're all scuffed up and look terrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, nobody does that in the movies. Like and then I found out, I read somewhere he was a heavy smoker at the time. So he was putting out the cigarette butts with those shoes. Mm-hmm. And they showed, like, there's some decisions that are made that I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah. Well, just pay attention. Why aren't you paying attention to that? There's, I also noticed that, and I assume this is because maybe he was also filming Family Ties at the same time, maybe, because the hair color changes sometimes.
Oh, the hair color is terrible in this movie.
Like, he's got this, like, kind of strawberry brown hair for most of the movie, and then kind of his normal brown in some other scenes. It's very distracting. Stuff like that really pulls me out.
Me too. No, I wrote that down. I thought he had a really bad dye job.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple of scenes where and it's like because he's so tiny, like, and the actors are so much taller than him. Like you can look down and see his hair, and I'm like, ooh, somebody didn't do a good job there. He and Helen Slater, he's like a good half foot shorter than her.
Yeah.
And what they must have had to do to make them be eye level, like in kissing level. Like the gymnastics that they had to kind of pull off, that must have
they
been
must
incredible.
have put him on a box all the time.
They had to
shoot around it. No, it's like not. I don't even mean it to be mean. They just had to. He does look like he's a good kisser. Does that help?
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
He does.
I'm like, I would like to kiss Michael J. Fox.
Who wouldn't want to make out with him? And then at the very end, Helen Slater, she's got an engagement ring. So I guess they're going to get married, and like they're going to make this is going to be like a business union, and now a lifetime union.
I think they broke up.
Oh, totally.
You know, I always think about that. I'm like, I wonder if they're still together. No, they're not. No, she slept with someone else. So did he. He slept with another relative.
I honestly think he's in over his head. Like, I think Margret Whitton gives him a job that he's really not prepared for.
Right.
Because there's nobody who's good at this company, by the way. They're all losers, it looks like.
How did they make it as long as they did?
Yeah, how did they fall apart around themselves? Like, there's not one good employee there. Like, one person that like sparks up with a good idea that you're like, oh, you should bring that person with you. Like, everyone's just his lackey.
Yeah. No, the movie's not based in any kind of reality.
No.
Because nobody's good at their job. There's a scene like at the beginning where he moves into his like tiny little New York apartment, and he's like, if there's any creatures in here that have more legs than me, I want you to know, I have an iron and I'm not afraid to use it or whatever. And I'm like, who's he talking to? Like, who's this for?
Because his mother told him to bring an iron with him.
But
they make a whole scene of that, and he's like, I don't need an iron. I'm like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
What the hell is this woman talking about?
But why? Who's he talking to, really? Like, he's not really...
The roaches!
I guess? Or the scene where, like, the neighbors are, like, having sex, and he pretends to, like, conduct to it. I'm like, who's he doing that for? For the camera. For a movie camera. An imaginary movie camera that's filming his life.
Well, he's always adorable. I guess that's the point.
I guess
he never can turn that off.
Yeah. Did you read that the original script was about a young man working for his uncle, and then he falls in love with the uncle's like favorite prostitute?
Yes. Isn't that kind of like Pretty Woman in a few years?
Right. Like,
well, there's a prostitute anyway.
I'm like, that's a interesting movie. We should put Pretty Woman on the list.
Oh boy, I would love to talk about that with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like my mother-in-law's. It's like one of her faves, and I just don't have the heart to tell her, like, there's problems with that movie. But,
I felt it at the time.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
That movie was, oh, God. Now I'm going to start talking about Pretty Woman and not this.
Yeah, we'll get to Pretty Woman.
Yeah, we'll get there. It'll happen.
Yes.
Do we want to, is there anything else to say about this movie?
I just say, like, it's like, I watch The Real Housewives, and I love Beverly Hills is my favorite city. And Yolanda Foster was David Foster's third or fourth wife. And she was on the show, and then she got Lyme disease, and she was just sort of laying around a lot, going, oh, I don't feel good. But David Foster just is so cheesy, the way he changes music.
Yeah.
And his music choices are all over the place. Like, it's not enough to have a guitar, but then all of a sudden they have to throw strings on top of it. And way over the top. I mean, I can always tell a David Foster score. Like, I just like, oh, that's a Foster.
And this movie, it's so boring.
Yeah.
Didn't you think it was kind of boring?
It's too long.
It's too long, and it was just kind of boring. Like, it was work for me to keep focused on it. Which, like, I just kept thinking, like, I'd really love to pick up my phone right now and start playing My Words with Friends or something.
Yeah.
But I can't because I'm dedicated. Listeners, I'm so dedicated.
Same here.
I didn't play My Words with Friends during this movie, even though I really wanted to. Because it's not a good movie.
No.
Like I said, I don't think 16-year-old Sonia liked this movie either. So, and I really liked Michael J. Fox.
I adore Michael J. Fox, and I score. He can do so much. I give him such a big break. I grade on a curve with him.
Yeah.
Because I find him so enjoyable that I will really give a movie a long time before I give up on it. Yeah.
So I wrote down some other 87 movies for us.
Oh, yay.
So we had Predator,
Yep.
And, of course, we had The Lost Boys, which we have an episode for, and everyone should go listen to because that one's a really fun one. RoboCop, Fatal Attraction, The Princess Bride. We should put Fatal Attraction on the list.
We should totally do Fatal Attraction.
The Untouchables, Superman, The Quest for Peace. Witches of Eastwick, Full Metal Jacket, Raising Arizona, Moonstruck, and Dirty Dancing.
There's some great movies in there.
There are, and there's some not so great movies in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why I put them on there. I decided they don't always need to be good movies, so I put some on there to help us mark the time.
Margo and I, for Book versus Movie, did The Witches of Eastwick last year, the year before, 2017.
How was it?
Doesn't hold up.
Oh,
doesn't. It's so disappointing.
Disappointing because it's such a good cast. I remember liking it at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nah,
okay.
Very dated.
All right. Maybe I won't revisit that one anytime soon. I did watch The Untouchables in the last 6 months, and that one really holds up. It's really good.
I love that movie.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you're dorking out about? What else are you watching or reading or listening to?
So I'm dorking out about Ted Bundy in spite of myself. There's a documentary on Netflix, and it's called The Ted Bundy Tapes.
I saw it and added it to my list, but I haven't watched it yet.
He's a real douchebag. He's a real dirtbag, and I'm so sick and tired. And I put this on Facebook, this whole trope that Ted Bundy was so handsome, so intelligent, and yet he was a psychopath. I'm like, he was one of those things.
Right.
Okay? We really overdo his looks like he was like Robert Redford or Brad Pitt killing women. Like, it's like, no. If he were a model, he would be in a Sears catalog. He would not be in GQ.
He would be modeling fleece vests in the Sears catalog.
He'd be next to a buzzsaw. Or something like farm equipment. This is not like, and then they're like, he's so intelligent. I'm like, he's not babbling to himself like Manson. That doesn't make him intelligent.
Right.
It's like, just the box that they have to put him in. They're trying to put they don't meet they put like this sexy sheen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a douchebag. He's killed probably 100 women. I mean, he's 30 known ones, but there's a lot of women that disappeared when he was roaming around that we'll never find. And by the way, he was successful because it was the 70s.
Yeah.
And we didn't have DNA testing. We didn't have ID with photo. We didn't have photo ID, so he could just sneak around. I mean, it's absurd, like how lucky he got.
Is this the same thing where Zac Efron is playing him?
Yes, and he's playing Ted Bundy. I wrote this down. The movie is going to be called, it's at Sundance right now, Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile.
Yes.
And it's totally playing up how handsome he was, which he wasn't.
Right.
But also in this movie, and Zac Efron was just like, I'm not going to lose a pound. I'm not going to lose any of my body at all. So he's playing Ted Bundy as if he's ripped and ready to be on Muscle Beach. Like his abs, it's like a 12-pack.
That's ridiculous.
And it made me so angry. I was just like, it's absurd. So that's.
So he's like anti-method acting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll play somebody horrible, but I better be good looking and sexy when I'm doing it.
Nice.
And it's just, ugh. And then the other thing, I don't know if I told you this, but I love Family Feud.
You did. You've mentioned that.
I watch it every night. It's like Steve Harvey at 7:00. It's like this half hour that the world is not horrible.
Yes. And we all need that.
Yes.
And is there a specific episode that you're kind of like, oh, thank you, Family Feud. Thank you. That'll be all.
It always works. I mean, I like the ones that they really brand game shows now. So like every segment is sponsored.
Yes.
And that's kind of gross to me. I like the old school Family Feud, just two dorky families, just, playing for $5,000,
Yeah.
And jumping up and down. Like they get all excited. Like
for $5,000,
really not much money.
The stakes are so low.
Oh my God. Like it's 20,000, which, you're splitting that 5 ways.
Right.
And then after taxes, it's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I love like the families. You could tell the ones that really get along with each other and they're really supporting each other. And I don't know. I find Steve Harvey very funny in this instance. I think he's a good host. He's like, it's like this half hour I pay attention to. I don't check my phone. Like I'm in. I
That's
want to play
nice.
along. And that's my thing. I want to, because like if you need something like that in your life, I would recommend trying Family Feud. It's really fun.
I think everybody needs a little something like that. I
Yeah.
don't have that's mine. I would say that I have, a 7-year-old. And so
Yeah.
there's like a good hour that the TV is on during the day that is children's programming. And that's always like happy and lessons and cheerful and bright. And so I think that's like my little happy place or something,
Yeah.
Like Calvin watches like Llama Llama or Curious George, or because he's not into like all the, I always hear about the stuff that like other kids are into, and I was like, he doesn't even know what that is. I'm like
the Muppets.
Well, he watches the Muppet movie, the original Muppet movie, but like they're just like this. He loves a show called PJ Masks or something. I was like, I don't even know what that is. What is that? I'm like, there's just so much kid programming. I don't know what that is. So I had to travel last week to Minnesota for work, and I got to watch a bunch of things on the plane, which is good. And one of them was Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which is fine. It's like a perfect little airplane movie. Like it's happy, it's music, I have issues with some of the things in the plot, but it's not like a deal breaker. It's very light, a perfect airplane movie. Have you seen it yet?
No, I'm dying to. People say the same thing to me. Like it's a very fun, cheery little movie.
Yeah, there's definitely stuff in it where I was like, well, why'd they do that? Or, things like that. But that's fine. It's not a big deal. It's a happy little movie. I also watched The Wife with Glenn Close. And I didn't know anything about it other than she won the Golden Globe and it was a movie. Like that's literally all I knew about it. And I watched it and I was like, it's actually really good. It's really good. Like I'm like, do I think it's the best performance of the year? I love Glenn Close. Like I think there's other performances I would maybe give the Oscar to, but I actually
Lady Gaga.
I would give it to Lady Gaga. I'm still mad that Toni Collette's not nominated for Hereditary because I thought she was the shit in that movie. But anyway, I thought The Wife was really good. Maybe it helped that I didn't know anything about it, so I was kind of surprised about where it went. I thought it was going to be like the long-suffering wife to Jonathan Pryce. And that it's not that. It's really, really good. And she is really great in it. And it's definitely worth watching. So
I saw her.
Where did you see her?
I saw her. It was off Broadway. God, and I can't remember the name of the play, but she's playing Joan of Arc's mother. And it's a very small theater. And she's the centerpiece. Like, it's like a theater in the round kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So you're sitting up high and the actors are low on the stage. And she was brilliant. She was incredible.
Glenn Close is always awesome.
Yes, she is.
She's always awesome. And I don't think she's ever won an Oscar.
I don't think so either.
So this might be kind of like, last year with Gary Oldman won for The Darkest Hour. This might be like her darkest hour, right? Her like career, I always call it like the Paul Newman Color of Money Oscar. Like,
oh my God.
We're like a Lifetime Achievement Award. So, and that could be it for her. And it's a really good movie and she's really great in it. I'm like, I just don't know if I consider it like one of the best performances of the year, but Glenn Close is always the shit and probably should have won for Fatal Attraction, which we will have to talk about sometime because
absolutely
that movie, there's a lot to unpack there. Oh, and I also watched the Ruth Bader Ginsburg documentary RBG, which is currently on Hulu. And it's amazing. She's amazing. The truth is like, I don't know everything about her. Like I know who she is. I know what she does. I know a little bit about her past, but not everything. And it was just really, really interesting to hear about her career and what she kind of focused on and everything she's done for women's rights, which is amazing. And she has a really sweet relationship with her husband that they talk about throughout the documentary. And I haven't seen the movie yet that's out right now. Did you?
No, not yet.
I haven't seen it either. I'm sure I will watch it at some point, but probably not in the theater. It looks like a good Netflix movie.
Yeah,
but
totally.
If you have Hulu, and actually I think it's streaming on Amazon too, but you probably have to pay for it. The documentary about her is really, really great. And they interview her, and they interview a lot of her friends and her kids. It's really fun listening to her, like, grown children talk about, like, how she doesn't watch TV. She doesn't even know how to turn on the TV, how she doesn't know how to cook, how neither of them can eat swordfish because she made it one time and it was so terrible. Like, and it's just so funny to hear about how someone who's so smart with, like, a brilliant legal mind, like, can't, make mac and cheese or something. It's just
I don't want her making mac and cheese. I want her just thinking.
No shit. And they show her, like, working out with her trainer. She is hardcore. She is
That's
hardcore.
Amazing.
Yeah, I recommended it to my sister because she is on this thing right now where she's like, I'm only, like, listening to podcasts with women. I'm only reading books by women. Like, she's on this, like, it's our time.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm with you, sister. Like, we're all on the same page here. And I was like, you need to watch this. And she texted me this morning. She's like, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's amazing. So watch it. It's really good. All right. Where can people find you on the internet, Margo?
Well, the best place to look for me on social media is at Brooklyn Fit Chick. And I'm what do I want to say? Like, I'm usually on Twitter and Instagram. I have a Facebook page. I don't really check it very much, but once again, it's Brooklyn Fit Chick. And my blog is brooklynfitchick.com. And all the shows I work on, I put stuff there.
Awesome. And you can find me at The Sonia Show on Twitter. That's Sonia with an I. And thesoniashow.com. That's my blog. And I am blogging more often. And sometimes I'm on Facebook at The Sonia Show, but not very often, to be honest. You can always find me on Twitter or on my blog. And you can find us at dorkingoutshow.com and soon to be just dorkingout.com. Still haven't made the change because it's kind of hard, you guys. It involves some technical shit that I don't have the mind for. You can also find us on Twitter at Dorking Out Show, and we are on Facebook at Dorking Out Show. And this was super fun, as always. Thank you, Angela, for the pick. Even though we didn't like the movie, we like requests because then it saves us the work of having to pick something.
No, seriously, you guys, if you have any suggestions, please let us know.
Okay. And anything else you want to close us out with, Margo?
I'm afraid I'm going to have another coughing fit because I would sing the Night Ranger song, The Secret of My Success.
The secret of my success.
Working 25 hours a day.